Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you and peace out to the rest of you. You already know who it is and who it ain't. It ain't your boy and it is your man, the blackest hearted, blackest minded, blackest man on social media. Signing black in and shining again, asking you to hit the mother cuss word share button because the message is more important than the messenger. So I'm going to say this right quick about Molly Lillard and Royce Lillard. That's a tragic murder suicide, and naturally my heart does go to the families left behind, mostly to the 8-month-old daughter that had to see this. I want to say this though, a lot of brothers are going to get into, because y'all know how we do, we argue. Black men argue for nothing. We're not the only race that does it, but we're one of those that argues for nothing. So I'm going to go ahead and point out to you guys right quick that before we start arguing, we need to remember something specific. And that is that what we're going to debate about really doesn't have to be one or the other. And it does make a difference. We're going to get into debates maybe about whether Molly set Royce off, or whether Royce just flipped out because, black women aren't their first choice anyway. All kind of debates are going to happen even between a lot of us. Before we start this on Facebook and YouTube, let me just go ahead and say that as a black man who's spent a lot of his childhood around the mayonnaise mafioso, around the mayonnaise mafia, it doesn't matter. In reality, it doesn't make a difference which one. You see, the attitude for which the sisters are stereotypically infamous and notorious isn't necessary to lead to situations like this. I want y'all to remember this about them. See, when I was coming up, and I'm in my 40s, my generation didn't live through Jim Crow. But my classmates that were mayonnaise had heard their parents talk about the good old days. And remember, when we came up, we could see on cable TV these old reruns like Leave It to Beaver and all this other stuff. And our parents would talk about, oh, I remember those days, as if it was really like it was on TV. And so a lot of my mayonnaise classmates and schoolmates had that mindset that things were better back then. And I was in the South. Fast forward to today, and y'all remember 2016 when those kids were marching in Charlottesville talking about who's not going to replace them. Well, gentlemen, those are the grandkids of the ones that actually grew up with Jim Crow. They're the grandkids. Their grandparents are probably just a bit younger than my own parents. In actuality, I could be a father to some of those kids. I want y'all to keep that in mind. Some of them could have, by age, they could have been my own offspring. So you understand what that means. Therefore, this is the second generation to be removed from any Jim Crow, and you saw them marching with the tiki torches and the little loafers with no socks on and their privilege. You get it. It doesn't take the attitude that we've had to deal with from Sophista Ratchet Sapphire. It doesn't take that in order to set them off. Chad Wheeler, all he had to do was not take his meds. That's it. He looked at her, mind you, this is Chad Wheeler, a celebrity. He looked at her and he was like, you know what? Even if she is my type, the fact is she found me. She's lucky that she found me, even though I like her. You bow to me, and when she didn't do it, he choked her. And when he thought she was dead, he was fine with it. So when Royce Lillard and Molly had it out, whatever the case was, whatever the conflict was, and however she acted regarding the conflict, I want you all to understand that whether she acted like a stereotype or not is immaterial, because their training is that they are superior. And this is why I say to you, gentlemen, if you gonna step out, that's cool. I get it. I'm with you actually, but understand you must still be careful of Chad's sister, Royce's sister. You must still be careful of that mayonnaise mafiosa. She is not to underestimate. Richard Pryor told you about that. Now he said that she paid her dues because for 6 years she must have thought her name was White Honky B Word. But when it came to the divorce, she was in there with pigtails and everything else, telling the judge that he was some kind of monster, and she wanted half, and had never told one joke. That's what he said, and we know what happened with OJ. Now, whether he did it or his son did it, the point is that the motive was pretty crystal clear. He bought Nicole Brown Simpson those boobs. He bought that for her. She took off. He's kicking out alimony, and she's not going to marry her new beau because she's getting that alimony from him. So she's gonna take his money and spend it on the new one, the young thing that gets to enjoy them boobs that OJ bought for her. So what I'm getting at here is that's the mayonnaise mafia, both the mafioso and the mafiosa, got this mindset. And so when you get her and you really are her type physically and all that other stuff, you still have to remember that she's been programmed to think of herself as normal and you as somehow being abnormal. When sister decides that she's going to swirl, it's the same thing. And that's all I wanted to get. I just wanted y'all to understand that. She doesn't have to bring an attitude. When she has her own mind and he doesn't like it, there is a software in them and it could become active. That is the agent software to which that Matrix movie was referring. That software that helps, it gets some of us to go out and defend white supremacy, let alone some of the mayonnaise mafioso. They're going to defend it. His sister's going to defend it. And that's why I've been saying we need to leave them out. Now, sisters who are willing to do that and get with them are no. I mean, they pretty much told us that they don't even want the protection. I'm not saying they don't change their mind later, but at the time they're doing it, they're pretty much saying, I don't even want the protection. Okay, they don't want the protection. Fair enough. What that means is that it's not really our business, but I wanted you gentlemen to understand that there's no need for us to debate about why this is happening, why this is becoming a pattern, and why we know this is going to happen again later on. No need for us to debate with each other about it, with or without the attitude for which she is notorious. This is still going to happen because that's who they are. And that's how they're trained to view us. I myself, I have some preferences that are not common. I myself actually don't prefer women that are too young. And that's because, I mean, for one, I grew up in the West and they don't mature faster. They don't mature as quickly as we do. They don't mature because they don't have to. So for me to get a young one is just twice as annoying. Now that's for me. For most of you gentlemen, young and fertile is what you want, and that's fine. That's natural. It serves a purpose. I understand that. However, since my taste make it a bit easier for the ones that done got ripe, I understand that while it's easy for me to find them, it's difficult for one of them to find me. So in the event that I'm not appreciated, I'm going to flip out. I'm just not going to go and start hitting and shooting them. I'm going to check them and I'm going to do it on my way out, but I'm still going to flip out. I'm going to put them into place. This is not a joke to me. You were lucky you found me. Even though you're my type, you're still lucky you found me. And you're going to show some appreciation like what I show you. So how much more so do you think this is going to be when you're dealing with someone? See, I wasn't raised to go for the young thing. I wasn't raised to shun the one that's closer to my age. I was never raised to do that. But what about an actual white dude, a mayonnaise mafioso? What about him who was trained to think that the blonde is more attractive? She's the prize, not the wide-nosed, big-lip, 4C having Bantu negress. Yet he manages to find them attractive. But she doesn't seem to appreciate that. What do you think is going to go through his mind? You understand now, I hope. And I'm not going to belabor the point and beat a dead horse. I think I explained it. We're not going to get into debates about this. Before they get started, let me just tell you, we're not going to get into debates about this, gentlemen. It ain't our business. It's just a good thing for us to remember that the way that mayonnaise mafia is in general, it does not require an attitude. But if that attitude shows its head, it becomes present, well, then they're certainly going to react a particular way, which is slaps, chokes, and maybe even gunshots. Thanks for listening. Black heart, black mind, blackout, assalamu alaikum, and black heterosexual non-select male power just because they don't like it, and black patriarchy until extinction or judgment day.